Welcome to the South Texas Amateur Tour Podcast, The Power Hour, with your hosts, Travis Salkowski, Dustin Hassan, Casey Graham, Jason Bird, and Michael Germanuelian. Good evening, South Texas Amateur Golf Tour. MD here. Welcome to the Tour Power Hour. It is 7:47, a little bit early start of the show this week, but nonetheless, Tuesday, October 17th, 7:47. Guys, we are in the middle of playoffs. It is such a fun time, such a crazy weekend at Northern Hills. Lots to talk about at Northern Hills. Not only was the course in amazing shape, the weather could not have been better, and it resulted in a lot of interesting rounds of golf, lots of changes in the top standings on the points lists, and really helping shape up for what is going to be a super exciting Saturday and Sunday at Brackenridge Park as we make our way back to Brack. It's going to be a great time. Lots to talk about tonight. We're going to cover Northern Hills, talk about some of the results, talk about some of the point standings going into this weekend. And then we're going to talk about Brack, talk about the weekend at Brack ahead. It's going to be a little bit shorter show tonight. We are going to be going live from Brack on Sunday for a live horse race and introduction to all of the South Texas Match Play Challenge team members after the playoffs have concluded. So guys, lots to jump into before we do any of that. Let's go ahead and bring on my co-host tonight, our favorite person, though Jason Bird may argue different that it might be him, Dustin Hassan.
Jason Bird will 100% argue differently that it is him. What is up, MD? South Texas Am Tour golfers, it is Tuesday. Glad to be here with you. And MD, you said it, man. We are in the middle of the playoffs. Northern was a great test for rounds 1 and 2 of the playoffs. The weather, you're right, could not have cooperated better with us. Little windy there, made for some tough conditions. We'll talk about that. But here we are, playoff run. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to some of our golfers this past weekend.
We did.
I want to thank them for a great 2023 season. The train moves on this week to Brack, round 3, top 54 advance, and gets real. It gets real quick. We have lots to talk about. Let's start with, I was going to talk, Travis is not joining us tonight, guys. Travis is, he has chosen to live out in the middle of nowhere to avoid people and have land. With that comes technical issues and internet issues, and Travis is off grid tonight. So just me and Dustin. Part of what I was going to ask Travis was in regards to course setup, looking at how we set up the course for Saturday, Sunday, how he felt the course played based on what we did on Friday versus, the weather conditions and everything being what it was Saturday and Sunday. As a player, as someone who had a pretty good weekend, you started the weekend going in at 11th place. You leave rounds 1 and 2 still in 11th place, which is very solid. How did you feel about the weekend
in general? How'd you feel about the course setup and just the overall weekend?
I thought it was great, particularly Saturday, and I said it several times in our group. The pin placements were phenomenal. There were pins that we just haven't really seen before at Northern. You'd expect something like that in the playoffs, but to see it so early in round one, just boom, right out the gate, it really kind of opened your eyes. But I said it half a dozen times. Stephen Evans, you were there, MD, in our group Saturday, and I I was just in awe by the pin placements. I thought they were really well thought out. It made you think about the shot. You had to shape shots in there. Very few middle of the green locations, and that's what you
Yeah.
want in the playoffs. I mean, you want someone to go out there and advance through, take it, and earn it, and you had to do that this past weekend.
I think we got really fortunate in some regards. The people who played in it, and whether they made it through the weekend or not, may not agree. That wind added. You can't even say it added a layer of difficulty. That added 3 extra tiers of difficulty to that golf course.
Yeah, there were a couple times, MD, especially hitting right back into the wind on Sunday. I was adding 20, wasn't enough. So it made it difficult. But Northern was a great test. Shout out to the crew at Northern Hills, the maintenance crew.
Absolutely.
The greens were rolling great. If you got above the hole, and you had a downhill, down grain putt, you better just breathe on it, or you're talking possible anaconda.
Oh my God, yeah.
It was no joke. Shout out to the staff there.
Shout out to the staff. Shout out to the ambassadors for all their work this weekend. Course setup committee. The golf course played. I mean, Northern pretty much played as hard as I think as it could have played. And I think the wind direction. I think that was probably, again, we talk about the wind making it so much harder, but at the same time, I think the wind, even just the general direction, shaped the golf course so differently.
Yeah, I'm used to going into, it seems like every time we play there, and, you're going into 15 and 15, 16, you're staring right into the wind, coming back on 7, 6,
Yep.
playing right back into the wind. But, it was shifted. It was different, and played totally opposite. And, you had to think a little bit. And I really love what the tournament setup committee did on Sunday, with 7T and 5T.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. Travis, I know I talked about it in the past. I know he's been wanting to do something like that, but backing up that tee on 7 to the back tee box on 5, it added I when we were standing on number 1 and Travis was going through the rundown, thinking, man, I really kind of set it up that this hole is going to look completely different. It added some distance, but Stephen Evans was saying on Sunday, and I totally agree with him. You're a little bit more elevated on that back tee, a little bit more raised up there, and it's a good view. And I really enjoyed that tee shot through that little chute there. You got your restrooms to the right, the trees to the left. Like I said, little more elevated than normal. Brings that trouble into right on play, right?
It really does.
So I mean, it was a good decision.
So Casey Graham, we're talking about 5 and 7. So day 1, number 5 played from the back tees. Same thing, 7 played from the back tees, their normal spots. What we did on Sunday, the tee box is played up by the Reds. So played very up, but directly into the wind, brings in that left in the water into play. And it definitely made it more challenging, but we added 50 yards to number 7 by throwing the back tees on 5 tee box. Now that was downwind, but that being said, you had to carry the ball 250 or so just to catch the top of that hill to get it forward.
Google Earth, he had it on Google Earth at like 480 maybe.
It was playing pretty long.
Quoting Bird correctly.
But you had to carry it, something like 250 or something like that, just to clear that top of the hill, just to get the kick forward. So yeah, what a different way to kind of play that. It definitely made it interesting. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. Now that Travis is not here, but he has enough internet that he was able to at least shoot me information in regards to which holes statistically played the hardest.
Perfect. That's what I want. Yeah, I want to get into that.
So before we announce it, first of all, hi to all of our viewers out there. Again, Chris Espinosa's out there. Shout out Casey Graham. Could not play in the events this past weekend or next weekend, but he is, as always, here in spirit. We got Seth out there. Seth had a great weekend. David Falconer's out there. Jeremy Aramillo, got to play with him a couple of times. As always, thanks for watching. Everyone else out there, thank you. Comment below. What hole do you guys think played the hardest? The hole that I thought it was is exactly what I thought it was. But any guesses, DH? What hole
MD,
do you think?
Are we talking on Saturday and Sunday
For the entire this is strictly
weekend?
for, well, fun fact. This hole was the number one hole both days from a difficulty standpoint.
Okay. I almost
Seth Henry says 9. Chris Walker says 10. Casey Graham 13. Any other guesses? What do you think?
I feel like I want to say number 1, maybe.
Jeff
I feel like
18.
number 1 was not playing super easy. Second shot back into the wind. You get it above that pin, it is murder back there putting wise.
Yeah. So the hardest hole both days, averaging a 4.05 on Saturday and a 4.28 average score on Sunday. Hole number 9.
Seth Henry was 100% correct.
I can tell you I played that hole at 4 over this weekend. So I'm part of that problem.
It was a strong crosswind, and it was backed up both days. I mean, the setup committee did not take it easy on us. Usually, maybe we get a front tee marker there every once in a while. I thought maybe one day the tee markers would be up where it's playing, like 120 up there or something. No, the committee said, no, thank you. We're stretching it out both days, and that crosswind really made it difficult. You're right.
It definitely made it extremely difficult. Now, that being said, what hole do you think played the easiest on Saturday?
On Saturday? I'm going to say 6.
Okay. Sean Wolf says number 3 played the easiest. Chris Walker says 5. Jeffrey Warren says 10. So statistically, the easiest hole was hole 17, playing at 5.4 was the average stroke on 18. There was nothing that was going to play under par.
It was playing back into the wind both days.
It was back into wind both days. Yeah. It was a tough, and both days were tough. Pin on Saturday tucked right behind the bunker. That was a tough one to get at. Sunday, right at the base of the hill, if you are above the hole or if you are even pin high. I mean, I made birdie on Sunday and I only had a 3-foot putt, but I was literally pin high with a 9-inch breaking putt.
MD, I was on that left side of the hole with you. I had about 10 feet. And Keo had literally 11 feet. I mean, he was right behind me, same line. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better read. And he got his out there. I mean, he got it out there, looked like a foot and a half, 2 feet almost. And it ripped across the front of the hole. And I said, well, I'm going to take it out even further. Still could not play it out far enough to make that putt from 10 feet. It was ripping hard left to right anyway from the side of that hole.
And I think what I want to find, what hole played the easiest on Saturday and had the biggest adjustment? Yeah, it has to be this hole. So here's a fun one. Hole 16 on Saturday averaged a 4.48. It was the 17th easiest hole on the golf course. On Saturday, it played as the 4th hardest hole.
On Sunday, it played as the fourth hardest.
On Sunday, it played as the fourth hardest hole.
And it was all about that pin location. That pin was cut, and I thought it was great. But I mean, right over that trap. Playing downwind, so you can get aggressive and take driver and have long hitters 50 yards and even in. I mean, I had a good drive for my standards, and I had 85 or something, and
you were
even
striping.
I was striping even with the sandwich, trying to take it high. I mean, that is a tough shot. I can see the playing much harder on Sunday.
I mean, my
that pin.
That pin definitely played tricky. I was surprised how tricky it played, but to be fair, with the way the wind was, if you missed on the right side, you were pretty much in trouble, because you're going to have to either cover the trees or take on the trees in the bunker, or even just the bunker itself. And it's just, there's no landing zone. Like I hit driver down the left side and maybe 90 yards out, and I put my wedge to maybe 15 feet left of it, pin high. But everyone else in my group was on that right side and had to try and take on the bunker and just got caught up with it. But I think the hardest, and not surprising, I'm still a little surprised number 9 on Sunday played as hard as it did. What I'm surprised how hard it played, but I'm more surprised at the scores in regards to 15 and 18 on Sunday. Those are the two holes that I think played a large factor in determining some of our winners and really some of the real outcomes for the weekend. We've talked about it before. We talked about it before the show started. Saturday's kind of a throwaway round. Like if you're in the top 20, top 30, you can screw up on Saturday. That is your one day to screw up. Like I played like trash and I dropped 10 spots in the standings. Like that's the only day you can do it, because winner only gets 100 points. You're not losing that much. But for 15 pin on Sunday, 15 played at a 5.11 average score. That pin on 15 was brutal.
That's exactly right. That pin was something else. And not only that, being back, on Sunday it was playing so heavy downwind. I mean, you really had to keep that in mind. And I kind of fell victim to it and said, well, I didn't take into account exactly how much that wind was helping. And my ball flew to about pin high, took one hop, and I mean that was 2 feet into that hazard line back there. Yep. And I luckily walked out with a 5. I mean, it could have easily been more than that. But the wind coupled with that location, I can see that.
That was, 15 is like where I actually started to play. 15 was my first green and reg in 8 holes.
Oh, wow. Picked a hell of a hole to do it. Jesus.
I kept hitting the fairways. I just couldn't hit greens for shit. And I was so afraid on 15. I'm just like, just miss left. And I missed. I was pin high, maybe 15, 20 feet. The scary part was my putt ran about a foot past the hole. And I'm just like, I was walking after the putt the moment I hit it, because I'm like, I'm going to mark this thing as soon as I know it stops. But Dustin Weldon and Jeremy Jaramillo coming in from the far side of the green, on the opposite side of the green from the pin, and managing to keep the ball not only short of the hole, but to get up and down from where they were, was absolutely stellar.
That's good.
Sunday,
I'd be curious where 13 stood there on Sunday with that pin. That was dirty. And if you're above that pin on the left, that's 3-putt city all day right there.
13 played 14th hardest, 4.6. What I was most surprised by was on Sunday, and so it played harder on Saturday. 18 played at the number 10 hardest hole, but on Sunday it was the 15th hardest hole.
18.
Now 18 was the 15th hardest hole.
Pin up on top on Sunday too.
That was I went back and looked at all of our rounds at Northern Hills that we have in Golf Genius that I could go back and find in my email. That was the first time on Sunday I had ever made par on that hole.
Oh, wow.
Like that pin,
listen, it can
that
get you.
crosswind,
Yeah.
and again, that's where the wind comes in. We had, playing tipped out at not even tipped out. We had it at playing 220. It's big crosswind, going left to right.
And yes, going at the out of bounds, so any type of
it's
leaving
pushing
it
you to the
open for a
houses.
right-hander,
reload. And on top of that, it's on the back of the green on top of that hill. Like, assuming you hit the green, you still have a difficult putt. But you know what? Having watched, so my group on Sunday was Baldo, Jeremy Harmio, Dustin Weldon, and myself. I went first. I hit my hybrid to 15 feet, pin high. Dustin proceeds to walk up, hits it 5 feet past my ball. He's just on the fringe. Jeremy walks up, hits it 3 feet into the fringe. And then Baldo is a couple of feet into the rough, pin high. Like, we're all pin high and just nothing knocking it up
Good
there.
Shot, dude. That's great.
Like, okay, this wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. The course played, I think the course was set up really well. I think the course played beautifully. The greens were fantastic.
Yeah, they were.
It was a really, really good test of just grinding out rounds. I told Travis that might have been probably one of those physically and mentally demanding weekends of golf I've probably ever played.
Yeah.
For a golf course, it's just as difficult.
So, and Sunday, for sure, from the first. So, I roll up on Sunday, MD. I roll my tee ball on the first hole. I literally roll the tee ball 50 yards. So, from then on, I said, "Oh, okay, it's going to be one of these days today." So, it was a grind for me from the first shot, and the conditions just didn't help. But that's what you do in golf, right? You hang in there, you don't give up. One shot at a time. You worry about your next shot, and anything can happen.
Yeah, it's now that I've had time to look back, like, I was pretty frustrated Sunday. Shooting 76, hitting maybe 6 greens in regulation was, exhausting. Like,
that's
having, especially because I was hitting fairways. I hit fairways. Could not hit. Yeah. I could be in the middle of the ocean, standing on a boat hitting golf balls, and I would still somehow miss water. Like, it was so bad. But like wedges and like little putts just happened to be dropping and kind of got away with it. Like I said, I think I went 8 or 9 holes without hitting the green and reg until 15. That course just played difficult, and it's not, it's one of those courses. It doesn't seem like it's something that would play that tricky. And I don't think I would say every day of the week without that wind, the course plays easier.
You're right, though. I think it's the hardest we've seen Northern Hills, if not ever, in a while, for sure.
Stephen Evans saying, looking forward to Sunday. Stephen Evans making the team.
Congrats,
beer in hand for Stephen Evans. Can take a shot of Fireball with me to kick off the round. That was the play this weekend. It was Fireball pre-round shot, and then 1 every 6 holes, and kept me.
That's the formula, huh?
That was the formula this weekend.
Got to pick
apparently.
up some Fireball.
My wife happened to be at Costco and came home with a tub, like a 20-pack of the party tub. So she's like, "Here you go. You're good for the weekend." I was like, "I'm gonna be dead by the weekend if I finish this." That's enough to get me through Brack. So let's talk a little bit about. I want to pull up the top 30 that were going into the weekend.
Yes.
Because we'll talk a little bit about Saturday. What we're going to end up showing you guys is the current top 36 after Sunday. Like I said, that Saturday round is not necessarily a throwaway round, but it's one of those things that if you're going to have a misstep, it's that Saturday where you're coming out on Sunday at the end of your round and at the end of all the points being totaled. That's really what we're more concerned with because now we're rolling into that second weekend. So looking at top 30 rolling into the week this past weekend, you had the likes of Willie Nichols, great season. Stephen Evans finished the summer season.
Great finish at the
possible.
PC Open by Stephen Evans. That's right.
I mean, that is playing with purpose and playing with a real goal in mind. That dude just
what
grinds.
he does, MD. It's what he does.
Stephen Evans and I were talking at Almost, and I was like, Stephen, I don't think you and I have played around together in maybe like 3 years or more. Like I haven't been in champ fight in forever, and just we never get a chance to play like as friends together, that kind of thing. And I've gotten to play 2 of the last 3 rounds with him, and man, it's just amazing.
Yeah,
just amazing to watch him play.
When you play with someone with the caliber of Stephen, you want to play up to him. You want to play up to him.
Yeah, you have to.
I got to play both rounds with him this past weekend, and I'll never shy away with it because it always brings out the best in you. So
yep, absolutely. Brad Gilbert had another great spring and summer season. You got a father-daughter combo, Greg and Morgan Graff in 4th and 5th. You got Micah Carroll, had a great finish to the spring season, had a pretty solid summer season. Mark Kacheski, who always plays pretty consistently. Jermaine Bowen, who's been a star on the rise this year.
In the summer season. On fire.
MD.
MD, speaking about on fire.
found something. You got, Jonathan Harder, Dustin Hassan, Keogh, Kevin Tennyson. I mean, you've got a crazy list of amazing golfers here. But let's jump forward now. We got through Saturday. We got through Sunday. Here is your new top 36. And I want to point out some of the changes on this because there's some really cool stats in here in regards to, you'll see some names who fell off. But I want to talk about some of the names that are on the rise here. It might be a little tough to see the screen if you go to stxamtour.golf. Points list is updated there, Casey Graham. Everything is updated. You can see the full list. I pulled the top 36 in this instance just because we are at top 54, but come Sunday, we are going to be in top 36. So in a world where the top 36 maintain, this is the group I wanted to look at. Now, that being said, going into this weekend, the only person who managed to enter the weekend and leave the weekend in the same spot they started was our very own Dustin Hassan, playing some pretty consistent golf. I hadn't played with Dustin in forever. Dude was pounding his driver. I saw the screenshot of the picture you took of you next to Stephen Evans that you sent to Travis. You're like next to Stephen Evans. Because that dude
we're sitting on the tee box, and it was on number 6, and bombed. I mean, I hit it good, and I went back, and of course, Stephen Evans gets up and just rips a beautiful baby draw. And I looked at Travis back there, and I said, "Man, Travis, I bombed that drive." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You won't be that far behind Stephen. Only maybe 40."
I mean, Saturday round, I told you I hadn't gotten a chance to play with you probably since maybe Wisconsin.
I was gonna say since Kohler.
It's been since Kohler, maybe. And I mean, I that was the best I've seen you hit a driver. It was so good.
Feeling good with it.
But so looking at the list, let's just look at top 10. So Greg Graff ends up winning his Sunday round, demolished.
Yeah, and not only did he win, MD, I mean, he ran away with it in his flight. I mean, he I think it was a 9-shot victory. Shot at 78 plus 6.
Shot 6 over, and then Laz finished in with 15. So it was a 9-shot win. Absolutely ran the tables. Yeah, and unfortunately, handicap adjustments are not happening.
They're in order.
They're not happening in third and fourth flight. They're not happening in the third and fourth round, but they sure as shit are happening in the first and second round. Welcome to First Flight, Greg Graff. But Greg Graff moves up from 4th place to 1st. That's a pretty damn nice jump for him. looking at Jermaine Bowen. Jermaine Bowen had an absolutely stellar weekend. Jermaine Bowen comes into the weekend in 8th place, puts up 2 solid rounds, takes a third, I think, net. It's a third net.
He took a second net and a first gross and a second net finish over the weekend for Jermaine Bowen. So continuing to just roll along.
So he jumps up 6 spots, 8 to second. Fantastic. Lazaro, Laz joins the weekend at 14th position, ends the weekend in 3rd, has a second, I guess he would have won. Did he end up winning?
He had
that
a first
on
gross
Sunday?
on Saturday. He had a first gross and then second gross against Greg yesterday.
There you go. Perfect.
On Sunday, excuse me.
On Sunday. So Lazaro doing what he's been doing all summer on that charge and making some headway. He moves up 11 spots. That is 2, 4. That is one of the 6th biggest jumps of the weekend. Dennis Danowski. That's a name I want to talk about. Dennis Danowski. Yeah. Dennis played the weekend, both rounds, +6. He shot 3 over day 1, 3 over day 2, goes into the playoffs in 21st, walking out of the weekend, heading to Brack in 4th place.
And he was pumped up, MD. I spoke to him after the round on Sunday in particular. And, he put 2 solid rounds together, rounds 1 and 2, good momentum going into rounds 3 and 4. I'm going to be interested to see if he holds that together, what he does this coming weekend. But Dennis Danowski, he's rolling.
He likes Brack. The last time we played Brack in the 2-person event, I played with him and his father. And, I mean, they both tore the shit up out of that golf course. So I know Dennis likes that course. He's feeling hot right now. So big shout out to Dennis. What a freaking great weekend there.
Good.
In 5th place, Mark Kacheski. Mark had a pretty, I think it was a relatively quiet weekend for him. He was in 7th coming into the weekend, finishes in 5th.
He had a second gross in the first flight on Saturday, kind of middle of the pack on Sunday. Did what he needed to do, really, this first weekend. Don't get yourself too far out of it. Maintain, do enough, and he's definitely done that.
Yep. So moving up 2 spots, heading into Brack. It's a great place to be in 5th. Very, very secure there. 6th place, MD, something like a DFL on Saturday, I think, and a net win on Sunday on the 18th hole. I make my birdie on 17 and make my par on 18 and get the pop and beat Mr. Jolly Shackelford in the scorecard playoff. Unfortunately,
shout out to Jolly too. Good playing on
really
Sunday
good.
There, Jolly.
Shot 1 under gross. Just barely gets edged out by Seth Henry, but really good playing by Jolly for sure. Morgan Graff. Morgan, I think actually she might have been in the same position. She was in there in the top 10. I think she was in maybe 6th. And she fell a little bit. Morgan fell off a little bit. Willie didn't have the weekend he wanted to, still hanging out there in the top 10, which is right where you need to be, where you want to be. Then these 2 guys, I played with these 2. I've gotten to play a couple of rounds now with Jeremy. It was my first time playing with Dustin in a couple of years. But Jeremy Jaramillo and Dustin Weldon, 9th and 10th. Jeremy came into the weekend in 18th, moves up to 10th. Which is just fantastic. Weldon was already hanging around in there, and so he did a pretty good job just kind of keeping the trend going. So big shout out to them, and want to look at now, just talk about some of the biggest jumps. We talked about Laz.
Yeah.
I want to look at the 21st position. Tim Blount. 21st, 1. Great place to be heading into the second weekend. But that is a 50-spot jump from Saturday to Sunday. started at 0 points, tied for 71st, and golly,
puts together two solid rounds. That's great.
Finishing the first weekend in 21st, that was huge. See what Steven Evans has to say. Well, way to play, Dennis. We're looking. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting caught up looking at.
That was great. I like Travis's comment. Working in the bell curve, DFL
and. Yep, he's talking about me. Steven Evans. Steven looking at the top list. He's interested to see who's going to end up in the horse race. It's horse race is going to be a lot of fun.
The most nerve-wracking hour and a half in golf right there.
The absolute most nerve-wracking.
If you're in it.
If you're in it. Shit. Even if your friend is in it, even if it's a buddy that's in it, it is still, you're still just sitting there like, golly, I hope they get it. 16th place. I want to look at 16th place. Seth Henry coming into the weekend. 24 points to his name, 48th place. And, man, just had a great weekend again. 2 solid rounds.
That's playing well, too. He's playing well. You know, coming off that 61, right, at Willow. He consistently seems to be posting red numbers. You're going to have to watch out for him next weekend at Brack.
Had Seth played every single event this season, I think very reasonably he's already got a spot on the team. Otherwise, he's sitting very well established in the top 5. Seth just bombs the ball up, and there it is. Travis saying, "Yeah, he hits the ball far." Like he hits the ball far. It's so stupid. Yeah. He jumps 32 spots, huge jump. We talked about Dennis jumping from 21st to 4th. That's a 17 spot gain over the weekend. Here's another great name, Dakota Albers. You talk about a guy who was so excited for his round on Sunday. He's at home on Saturday night. He's clicking the refresh button, just doing his thing. He's like, what's my tee time? What's my tee time? What's my tee time? He's faster than the internet. He sees his tee time as 11 something, whatever his tee time was supposed to be. Jeff Warren, hell yes, that stash is epic. Dakota not realizing that the tee sheet had a slight adjustment that needed to be made, and the tee times all were shifted an hour.
I like how we put that on Dakota, by the way.
But Dakota Albers showing up like 5 minutes before his tee time, and I'm pretty sure Dennis Donoski or someone had to park his car for him so he could get to the first tee and go do. Anyways, Dakota Albers jumping from 29th to 14th in the point standings this weekend. Talk about playing under some pressure.
And I already bombed that first tee on Sunday, that first drive on. People say right out of the parking lot, right out of the car. He was literally right out of the car in the parking lot on Sunday.
Like, we're gonna have a South Texas Amateur Golf Tour parking program or something. Like Dennis, we're gonna put Dennis as
an ambassador in a valet program.
we're doing an ambassador valet program. Exactly. Scotty Williams, he didn't even have golfing shoes on. Didn't have his golf shoes on when he teed off. Just unbelievable. 15 spot jump for him. Playing with him and hanging around with him this weekend. Trace Davis. Trace Davis enters the weekend in 30th, finishes in 17th.
Picked up a net win on Sunday.
Net win on Sunday for him. Jumps 13 spots. Absolutely fantastic. And like we said, Laz jumping from 14th to 3rd, 11-spot jump. So obviously some names falling out of the top 10, out of the top 20. Had some big names on the rise. But all of this is ultimately, it all comes down to this weekend. Early estimates, 315 points potentially is what we're looking at.
We're giving cut line estimates already.
This was a discussion between me and Travis earlier. 315 points, give or take, is about what the cut is expected to be. As we roll into the weekend, everyone in the top 54 is still eligible to make the team right now. There is 575 points left out for grabs right now. That is 225 points for your gross winner of flights for Saturday. Sunday, 350 points for flight winners. So there's a lot of points out there. Travis refreshing that 302 to 315, give or take. But that being said, still lots of points up for grabs. Everybody is still in it right now. Again, having a 100-point lead right now doesn't equate to much if you don't play well and that person behind you shoots and wins and automatically picks up 100 points. So Brack is a big weekend. There's going to be a lot going on, lots to see.
I hear it's in great shape, MD. I hear it's in great shape.
Jason Bird says it's in great shape, and just for everyone out there, he said that the greens at Northern Hill were trash. So if he thinks that that's not great, and he thinks Brack is great, Brack is TPC level because that is kind of his baseline. So absolutely stoked to get back to Brack and see what that looks like. I feel like we saw Brack, we knew it wasn't going to be in good shape. We didn't play it. We come back a few months later, it looks good. We're excited, and then now we're just like Brack is Brack
ready
at its finest right now, which is just good to hear. And again, if you didn't make it to the weekend, if you want to come watch first tee time, 9:30 on Saturday, come on out. I got my mom, my wife, my daughter are going to come watch. More than welcome to have spectators out there. The course is going to be in great shape. It's going to be fun to walk. It's going to be a lot of fun, but more importantly, we ask anyone who is available to come watch the horse race.
Yes. The more the better.
Come 5 o'clock, 5:30 on Sunday. We have the first tee, and we will be going live from Brack with a field reporter to be determined, but I believe it might be Stephen Evans. But we will be out going live from Brack, watching the horse race. We'll be doing commentary. We're going to be getting some initial reactions from the newest team members of the South Texas Match Play Challenge team that will be determined and decided on Sunday. We're going to talk to our season-long winner from the our playoff winner, points winner. So we got a lot going on Sunday. Saturday is going to be jam-packed, but Sunday is going to be crazy. All of that kind of concludes with our entire South Texas Match Play team coming together for our first team meeting, which is it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome.
And I want to say something about Sunday, because there's a moment there Sunday where all the cards are turned in and the infamous black sheets go up around the scoreboards, and the math begins behind the board, and Travis is back there, and Casey will be back there, I'm sure, and they'll be crunching the numbers, and you peek out of that curtain, and people are, everyone is just there. Biting nails. Waiting for the curtain to be pulled and the names to be drawn. That I'm looking forward to that almost as much.
You got those people coming back. Laura's coming back. They're like, you guys need help with anything?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love it.
Dennis is like, hey, you guys need something to drink? Like, that's the kind, like, it's just the funniest and also the most surreal thing, because everybody is just out there waiting to just
herd it around out there, MD. Just herd it around like a bunch of cattle under shade.
And they're doing their own math in their head.
Everyone's figuring it out. They've all got their own form. Yes, it's great.
Like, I'm trying to, there's people who are like, I'm not sure where I'm going to be. I'm going to just go start practicing to get ready for the horse race. And then they don't end up in the horse race, or they thought I'm not in the horse race, sat there for an hour drinking, and then they go play.
There are several. There are a bunch of mix of emotions during that that 20-minute or so, 30 minutes that it takes to go through that.
It's a lot, but it is, again, we've talked about it, as a podcast team, as an ambassador team, we've talked about it, with just about everybody. It has been such an amazing year. The spring and summer season feel like they happened a million years ago right now. We get to this point in the season where it's, playoff weekend, teams decided, we got 2-3 weeks of prep, and then we're off to Houston. It's a lot going on, but it is as intense as it gets. The golf,
it's the culmination of all their effort throughout the year, MD. I mean, you said, I joke about it, but it's what we play all year long for. When we start at Monster Day, that first weekend in January, we're thinking about making that team. And when you get to round 4 of the playoffs and you're just that close, it's what we do it for. So, you're right, MD.
And we've got, I know we brought it up last week, and I do apologize to everybody while I'm pulling this information up real quick, because I do want to share it. So the 12 people, I want everyone to take a look at this leaderboard, and I'm gonna list off some people here. A couple of names here: Willie Nichols, Morgan Graff, Greg Graff, Brad Gilbert, Micah Carroll, Steven Evans, Baldo, Jason Cross, David Falconer, Captain Kent Simnitz, Casey Graham, and Michael Dermanuelian. Those are the 12 individuals who played every single tournament this year. And if you look, you got a handful of those names sitting right there at the top.
That's what it takes. These days, you've got to play in the events. They're selling out, right? They sell out. We've got so many new faces this year.
The talent is through the roof.
The talent is phenomenal. From top to bottom, from champ flight to fourth flight, talent is phenomenal.
Scotty Williams, I would say Scotty Williams gets maybe an asterisk or a pass. He would have played every event had his shitty heart not tried to get rid of him.
Oh, fuck, MD.
What, he lived? He's better?
We love you, Scotty.
He agrees. I'm thrilled that Scotty's healthy. Scotty's the only person I know who could have a heart attack, be held captive
he was
at
playing
the
golf
hospital.
The next week, was he?
And then was playing golf 4 days later. He traveled.
Bombing driver.
He traveled, flew on a plane 4 days later and played 5 rounds of golf. And he played in the simulator. He's a beast. Ernie Cannon did not. Well, Ernie Cannon did have a heart attack. Yes, Ernie Cannon did come back and play quickly. That is a good call out. I apologize. Ernie Cannon, way to tell your heart, screw you. Golf is more important.
Hey, mind over matter, dude.
Mind over matter, bro. Scotty Williams will tell you, heart attack was the best thing to happen to his golf game. He's hit the ball further.
I think it's added 10. Yeah, it's added 10 yards.
He had 10 yards, as if the paradigm didn't do enough for him and the senior tees didn't do enough for him. It's freaking Scotty Williams. But guys, lots going on. It was a crazy weekend. Go check out stxamtour.golf. Go check out our updated point standings. Be on the lookout. Tee times, hopefully coming out tomorrow night. Hoping that today, early tomorrow, we'll have all of the handicap points up there, or handicaps updated as well. And once we get the groupings and the pairings and all figured out, it'll be online. We'll get that stuff posted, and then it kicks off 9 o'clock, 9:30 Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. Brack is going to be one of the hottest places to be in the city. So it's going to be good. Congratulations again to our top 54 who made the cut this weekend. Congratulations to everyone who played this season, whether you made the cut or not.
Right.
Thank you for being a part of the tour. Thank you for being friends to this tour. Thank you for being a family to this tour. Thank you for being involved and showing your passion for golf.
At the end of the day, the tour is nothing without you all. It's nothing.
Your guys' drive to play golf, your want to compete, your want to have this kind of environment to be in, and your excitement about it is what gets us in this position. It's what makes us want to do this work, makes us want to be involved. There's nothing more fun than doing this show and then coming in the next week and someone talking about something stupid that we said or something stupid that we did or something funny that they heard. And yeah, I mean, again, thank you to everyone out there. Guys, that is all we have for you. Sunday, live from Brack, Horserace, introduction of the 2023 South Texas Match Play Challenge team. It's going to be great. The weekend is going to be exciting, whether you are playing in it or not. Come out, support your friends, come out, have a beer and walk the course. It's going to be Brack. It's going to be great weather. Viewers and spectators welcome. Caddy for a buddy, caddy for a friend. Get out there and be involved. Have a good time. This is what we've been working for all season. This is what this experience and what golf is all about. It is about this friendship, these bonds, this competition, and we thank you guys so much for being involved with that. Dustin, any closing thoughts, my friend?
Boy, MD, well said. I couldn't articulate it any better than you just did. Just really, really thankful to all the golfers out there. Looking forward to getting underway this Saturday at Brack, round 3, proceeding to round 4, the horse race, and finally the team meeting in the Borgland room if you're lucky enough to get there. So get your practice in this week. You've got a few more days left to hit the range. Go put in the work because it gets really real on Saturday.
It's really real on Saturday. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing everybody bright and early on Saturday. We look forward to an extremely fun weekend, and it's going to be one for the books for sure. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone have a good night. We will see you on Saturday. Dustin, thank you for hanging out, buddy.
Good night, y'all. MD, enjoyed it, buddy. Always good.
Thanks, buddy.
Later.
All right, guys, everyone have a good night.